Jaylen Brown just got traded to the Philadelphia 76ers for Paul George, 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. Whether you like him or not, he's one of the best players in the NBA, all NBA first team, and he deserves his respect. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what makes him valuable and why your teenager needs to start playing the same way and how they could do it by their next game. If they don't learn to move and play like a pro, they're just going to be wasting their time and they're going to look like all the other players out there on the circuit. For those of you who don't know, my name is Trey Mourning. I'm a former professional basketball player both here in the States and overseas, and I run a company called Coach Comma. At Coach Comma, we help the families of elite youth basketball players cut through the noise and the BS politics of the AAU circuit and travel basketball, high-level youth basketball here in the United States. And we help the players gain more confidence and play with a higher basketball IQ consistently. All right, first thing you're going to notice here is time and score. This is what I usually like looking at in action like this. 9 seconds left on the shot clock. It's still the first quarter, so really anything goes. There's really nothing on the line right now. Funny enough, Paul George is in this clip too. Let's look at the screen coverage. First thing we'll notice, this is a switch, right? This is a hard switch, let's say. Tyrese Maxey is switching up. And the reason he's switching up is because he doesn't want Jaylen Brown to go downhill. At the end of the day, you got to think about what Jaylen Brown's strengths are. If I'm guarding a guy like Jaylen Brown, there are 2 things that I want him to do, and I'm picking these things specifically. I want him to go left, and I want him to shoot contested twos. He's a great 3-point shooter. I'd want to look at stats, and obviously this is why it's helpful to have a team and analytics behind you to be able to break some of these things down. And screw analytics at the end of the day. Like, they're not extremely important. At the end of the day, you got to roll the ball out there and go hoop. I want Jaylen Brown to shoot contested twos because statistically speaking, that's the toughest shot that you can take. And they're more than likely is not a player who goes 50% left and 50% right. They usually have a side that they make more baskets going towards. So I want him to go towards the opposite way. So I want him to go left and I want him to shoot contested twos. The high switch right here, he goes back right. He's still trying to fight right. Look at him. He's still trying to fight right. In a situation like this, I mean, he punches on him. That was crazy. But in a situation like this, you look at Jaylen Brown. Look who's guarding it. Tyrese Maxey. He's very quick and agile defender. But there's three different advantages that we talk about and that I share with my clients in my program, or my players I work with and their families. First advantage is a horizontal advantage. That means you're quicker than the person. Second advantage is a vertical advantage. That means you could jump higher than them or you're taller than them. And then third is a physical advantage, right? If we look at advantages right here, the one advantage that Jaylen Brown has on Tyrese Maxey is a physical advantage. So he's going to go downhill and spam going right because you don't necessarily need a bunch of moves. You don't need a bag. You just need something that works, right? He's going right and he pushes through his chest. Gets by him, pushes the ball through. This is something that you probably maybe didn't even notice. But right here, look at all this space, right? I really like looking at space in breakdowns. Jaylen Brown's going down right here. He'll throw the ball in front of him when it's time to split this gap right here. Kelly Oubre is not going to go down and steal it and then go back up and close out. It's not going to happen. He has to stay disciplined. Hauser can shoot the piss out of the ball, so that's why he's spaced all the way out here. Also, spacing is very important. You're going to want to look at the guys in the NBA. Look at how the court is spaced. You got 1, 2. This is called the dunker spot right here. Neemias Queta. Shout out my brother from Portugal. Neemias Queta, he is here in the dunker spot in the Miami Heat organization. They call it the Bird Box because there was a famous movie, Bird Box, that came out recently or not too long ago. And when it came out, Chris Anderson, Birdman, was on the team. So they called this the Bird Box, this area right here. And then also during that playoff run, Chris Anderson shot like 97% from the field, which was ridiculous. And he was shooting mostly dunks, right? And layups, just drop-offs from plays like this. So let's look at this. Pushes the ball out in front of him. Gathers and just punches, right? And anytime you're dunking on a big, you want to go towards their body. There's a very famous dunk that I might break down at one point, and I actually might do it. I probably won't do it in this video, but it's funny. It's of my, actually I will break it down. Let me just give you, I'll break it down in just a moment. Give me a second. I'll cut to it. So the reason I laughed in this breakdown, this is a very famous dunk of my dad getting dunked on, Alonzo Mourning. I'm not throwing shade on my dad at all. I'm just breaking down the physics of why this worked out and how you can attack a shot blocker. Contest gets Richard Jefferson to miss the layup, and my dad blocked a bunch of shots in his career. I think at the time of his retirement, he was like number 9 all time in shot blockers in the NBA. And with Wemby, I mean, that record he's gonna drop for sure. but the amount of shots that he altered that he didn't necessarily block is probably even more than that. Now, Vince Carter gets this ball right here. Jay Will goes for a steal. Vince Carter gets this. Also, like, this is a trick that I don't know if I heard that. I think this is Jason Collins right here, potentially. Rest in peace, Jason Collins. I think he was doing this. He was actually pulling down on my dad's jersey or his arm to be able to displace him or potentially pushing him back. There's a bunch of tricks that professionals will do. They'll pull on arms, pull on jerseys, pull on legs even to be able to bring somebody down, or hips, not legs, just hips, to be able to make sure guys can't jump. Now, in a situation like this, my dad usually meets people when he blocks shots at the rim or when he blocks shots at the rim. Because at the end of the day, you got to think about this as a shot blocker. Where's the ball going? Regardless of how high the guy is jumping, the ball is going to go to the rim. I don't care if you're playing against Wemby. If I time it correctly and I meet Wemby at the rim when the ball is going towards the rim, I'm going to get that block. It's just math. It makes sense, right? So Vince Carter goes in, jumps at my dad, and because of the force he uses to jump at my dad, also my dad got pushed by Jason Collins back, and then he went forward rather than meeting him further away from the basket. My dad naturally probably would have jumped outside the charge circle, and this dunk wouldn't have happened, and Vince would have had to adjust and make a layup. He jumps at him and then goes away, goes even higher because he bounces off my dad and he's able to finish. Now, this is just basketball at the end of the day. You know, my dad even, he's seen that clip before, and, he always jokes that, Vince got him, but he has a ring and Vince doesn't. All love to my dad, all love to Vince. I just want to break this down and make a point. Back to this one. All right, so same thing with Jaylen Brown. You see how he jumps into the shot blocker, right? Uses his off arm as well, but he jumps into the shot blocker, creates contact. And it's tough when you're a shot blocker and you're jumping from underneath the basket. You have to time this pretty much perfectly in order to make this work. He doesn't, and we'll just watch this clip again. Jaylen pushes the ball through, times it poorly. I think that was Paul Reed. And then he gets punched on. So, happens. First game of the season, I think. Actually, no, this is in the playoffs. All right, let's look at this next one. This is an elbow catch. This is a set play. You just got to see what this action is. What I'm noticing first off is I haven't even watched these plays before. None of these plays I watched before. I'm thinking Jaylen Brown catches it. He potentially spins off and pushes this way. Granted, you have a shooter in the corner, right? Shai can't help fully, and Shai isn't the best defender in the world, but he's not a liability. I wouldn't say Shai's necessarily a liability. We're going to see what Derek White's going to do. Yeah, I was right. So if you look at the space and you look at the body movement and all the things that are happening, and so like I said, we have the elbow catch right here. Usually, and this is something that I really teach, I've learned this from Akeem Olajuwon. When you catch the ball in the post and your back is facing the basket, you want to catch ball in the air, feet in the air, right? So when the ball is in the air, both your feet should be in the air, and you catch that way. That way you have all four of your pivots. By your four pivots, I mean spinning this way, spinning that way. I mean opening up this way and opening up that way. You have four different pivots. Now, when you land, you're going to push off your outside foot in order to spin away. So you land, boom, and as soon as you land, you push off that foot and you're going this way. Same if you want to spin middle, boom, you push off that way. But you want to land on 2 feet so that you have options instead of catching 1, 2, because that limits you in terms of the pivots that you have. He pushes off, makes a good move, goes to the basket, and he's a freak athlete, so he gets up on that rim, which is great. Spins, you see what I'm talking about in terms of that catch, rises up and punches. As a shot blocker, you have to go make contact in the air as well. Basketball's a physical game, and you have to make contact with somebody. If you're not making contact with somebody, they're going to make contact with you, and you're probably going to lose. All right, so let's see this. There was probably a ball screen that took place here. Time and score. It's not necessarily a time and score thing, but usually if you want to, Boston is down 22 points in this clip. Leads can change all the time in the NBA. That's the thing. But in this situation, I think they probably tried to get a switch, and Pritchard went up and tried to set a screen. He did. They got the switch, and a lot of teams, you want to run actions in order to get certain mismatches. And in a switch, what you're looking for specifically is a mismatch. I tell my players this all the time. There's 5 different ball screen coverages that you're going to see. You're going to see switches. You're going to see shows and hedges. You're going to see blitzes. You're going to see drops, and you're going to see ices. I can get into this at a later date, but specifically in this, you're going to see a switch, right? And a lot of teams on the perimeter, they're going to switch. Some teams even switch 1 through 5, which means the point guard all the way to the center, which is a 5-man. You're going to switch there. And with that, you just play ISO ball. You just attack a mismatch. If you're the ball handler and you have a mismatch on a switch, you attack unless the big has a better switch and you throw it down. Like if I get a switch on, if I'm playing with Shaquille O'Neal and he sets a screen for me, and the guard who was guarding me, granted I'm 6'9", so it's probably going to be a big defender who's playing Shaquille O'Neal. But if I come off of that and I get a switch, I can throw it down to Shaq, and he has a mismatch against somebody who, is shorter, right? So you want him to go in and use that mismatch. But Jaylen Brown uses this. He attacks downhill. Let's see what he does. All right, so they get that switch. Jaylen Brown has Kobe White on him, attacks downhill, makes a good move, crosses, and just goes to the rim and punches, right? Attacks that top foot. I think main thing, you just need to have a couple moves that you go to, whether it's a change of direction, whether it's between the legs, whatever it is, and you're just attacking the top foot of the defender and you're going downhill and finishing strong, right? So short here, Jaylen Brown gets it. We're in transition. Now, I want you to think about all the things that Jaylen Brown is thinking about in transition, for example. I kind of said that the wrong way, but what I want you to pay attention to is like his pace. Granted, this video is on 0.75 speed, but at the same time, he's not running faster than everybody else because you don't want to run all the time in transition. That's not what this is about. It's about using reads and seeing the spacing on the court and seeing the mismatches to be able to decide, okay, what am I going to do and when am I going to do it, right? You look at Jaylen Brown right here, spins off. It's a very tough lay, very tough finish. You look at this play right here. I'll show you another one. I'll show you one of my highlights, actually. So this is actually a highlight of mine in the G League. I get the rebound. I get it off the rim. Look at my pace. I'm not sprinting. But when I see an opportunity to go to the basket, I dunk it. So think about this. I'm not in a full-on sprint to try to rush to get down the court. I'm taking my time. There's absolutely no rush. Granted, now I wouldn't look down at the floor when I'm dribbling the ball. I've gotten better at my handling. But I'm not in a rush to beat anybody down the court. I'm looking, okay, what are the options? Nobody's stopping me. Nobody's stopping me. Let me go all the way. And my center set a good screen right there, and I just finished at the rim. So Jaylen Brown, same exact thing. He's not in a rush to get down court. He gets the rebound, right? He's probing. He's looking around. Okay, he sees a lane. Let me attack. And let me finish at the rim. He also attacked the mismatch. So I can't imagine number 25 is guarding Jalen Brunson in, the flow of play. It just happened that way. And he's not used to guarding him. And he fouls him, ties him up. Usually when you see a big in transition, you want to go with the big just because it's not their comfort zone to be able to guard you there. And you want to attack him. Transition right here. You look at Jaylen Brown, right? There's probably going to be a dunk at the rim. Look how he's patient to get up the court. You don't necessarily need to run all the time. You need to find your spots. So there's appropriate spacing in the NBA. They're setting a screen right here, a chest screen. This is probably some sort of set play or action that they run in transition. But at the end of the day, you got a player, Hauser, who's running through to his space. He's probably going to end up in the corner. Derek White is going to go all the way down there. Pritchard is going to stay all the way at the top. And big fella right here is going to set, is that Garza? I don't know if it's Garza, but he's setting chest screens. Chest screen is essentially a drift screen where you'll set it and then the guy you're setting it for is going to go that way behind you over the top. And he's just trying to get him open right now, right? So Jaylen Brown, he creates an advantage. They set a screen, creates an advantage. Jaylen Brown attacks it because the closeout's bad, gets up and finishes at the rim. All right, you don't need to be in a rush. I heard an interview of Jaylen, I keep saying Jaylen Brunson, Jaylen Brown. I heard an interview of Jaylen Brown, and he was talking about this year his pace was completely different than other seasons. He's not playing as fast as he did before, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Even here, look how he's coming up in transition. He's not in a huge rush to get up the court. Okay, what's in front of me? Oh, I can split a gap. Dunk. I'm thinking about who he's playing against right here. Jalen Brunson is not a perimeter. He's not a great defender. And I guarantee you Mikal Bridges was the one who was guarding Jaylen Brown. He just got switched on him here. And he's like, okay, shoot, I'll just stay matched up. And he goes by and makes a quick move going middle. And again, that physical advantage. Usually if you have a physical advantage, you don't need to make an amazing move. You just need to make a strong enough move to get by the person who is guarding you and attack him. And that's what he does right here. All right, let's look at this action right here. This is a set play. You'll see Peyton Pritchard come up and set the screen. You got to think. You got to think across the board. Like, who is not a good defender? DeAndre Hunter, he's a good defender. So he's the one that is on the best offensive player on the court, which is Jaylen Brown. So Dean Wade is guarding Peyton Pritchard, and they're going to set a lot of actions where Peyton Pritchard comes up and sets screens on DeAndre Hunter to be able to get a switch and get an advantage. And this is what we see right here. He gets an advantage. He has the mismatch he wants. See how hard DeAndre Hunter is helping in there because he knows this is a mismatch and his boy is pretty much cooked. But he takes his time. See how he's not in a rush, and see how he's actually going away from DeAndre Hunter. Granted, that's a very tough shot, time and score. There's 7 seconds in the shot clock, so he's just gonna go get a bucket, and you can't really switch there. Honestly, if I'm DeAndre Hunter, I'm gonna double him there in a situation like this because I know my boy is pretty much on an island, and I got to do my best in order to help him out, right? So it looks like running over there and doing just that, and there's a very low chance that, Jaylen Brown's going to be able to pass the ball over here to Peyton Pritchard in less than 2 seconds, and he gets a shot off. So that's my point. That's my perspective there. I'd probably run at him if I was DeAndre Hunter, because it's tougher to make shots over 2 people than it is over 1 person, right? But he hits a very tough one there. He goes away from the defense too. I think DeAndre Hunter does a really good job of holding that gap, holding this space, because he knows what he wants to do. He knows what he wants to do. DeAndre Hunter knows he's a better defender than Dean Wade, and he got the switch because he had to, because his defensive principles. And then from there, he's helping until they can get the stop, right? Unfortunately, they don't. Jaylen Brown hits a very, very tough shot, but you kind of got to live with that. Step back at the end of the half. I mean, you hate it, right? You hate anytime you get scored on, but some buckets, with the best players in the world, you can never stop them. You can only make them take tougher shots than they usually do. And if Jaylen Brown is going to take tough shots like that all game long and beat me, I guess I got to live with it, right? Same one here. Look who he's attacking, right? Shea is not disciplined as a defender the same way a Alex Caruso is, or a Jalen Williams. So that's why they get to this action right here. Not even an action. They get to this switch. There's probably some sort of screen. You see Keita coming this way. He probably set a screen in some way, shape, or form, or was about to, and he's going to space. Look at how all these guys hold space. 1, 2, 3, 4 away. This is something that a lot of high school basketball players don't do. They don't hold space. Even in college, they don't hold space. Y'all are all on top of one another. You can't be all on top of one another. Watch NBA games. Watch the games with the sound off so you can stop paying attention to the noise and the announcers and just watch. Look at the spacing on the court. This is beautiful basketball right here. And when the court is spaced, more players have opportunities to do stuff like this and be professionals. Look, physical advantage. And he has the ball handling ability to use his physicality. I want you to think about it this way. If you work on your ball handling, and I'm not talking about running around, dribbling a basketball all the time. I'm talking about pounding a ball to be able to lose it, right? To try to get to the point where you lose it. Crosses, betweens, behinds. I do this thing called wall drills where I'm sitting in front of a wall. I cross. And when my hand is on the ball, the other hand is on the wall. And I cross and cross and cross. You could do it between. You could do it behind. You could do it cross. You could do a combination of cross between or cross behind or behind cross. You could do in and out cross, all while your hand is on the wall, and you're doing it with the purpose of trying to lose the ball, right? Because I learned this from Chris Paul. If you dribble a ball to be able to lose it, right, that ceiling is going to increase, and now it's going to take more effort and energy in order to lose that basketball. So during the game, when you're dribbling the ball really hard, when you're never trying to dribble it to actually lose it, it's going to be easier for you to manipulate the ball. That's another drill I want to give you called highs and lows, right? Highs and lows is super simple. And you have the ball in one hand, you're dribbling it high, and somebody says low, and you start dribbling it low. And when you do that transition, you got to bounce it and get it back up quickly. So high, low, and you're going based off of their command. Right? You can do this by yourself. Even you say high, low, then you have a switch, and then high, low, cross, between, high, low, behind, high. All these things get you better at manipulating the basketball. So wall drills and highs and lows are going to be your best friends. And if you just do those, you don't need to run around on the court and work on your handle and get in your bag and all that stuff. You literally worked on all the different variations. There's only X amount of things you could do dribbling a basketball. You can only cross it over. You can only do an in and out dribble. You can do between the legs. You can do behind the back, right? If you're Kyrie Irving, you could do behind the back. Excuse me, you could do it in and out behind the back. But there's really no need for that. There's like 4 things you could do with a basketball, and then you add combinations of those different things, but that's pretty much it. And then you have the pounds, so we could say 5, right? That's it. So don't overcomplicate this and just work on those moves. And with your strength and building that up, you're going to be able to go out on the court, push people out the way, and manipulate the defense and really just get a lot of stuff done. You're going to be surprised with the progress you make. All right, let's look at this time and score. 4.9 on the clock, as I said before. So they're probably going to try to get a quick hitter. You look at Jaylen Brown, he's probably their guy. Obviously, this is Jaylen Brown highlights, so he's their guy who they're trying to get a shot for. Pops out to the corner. It's a really tough one. I don't really want to go over that. I think in a situation like this, defensively, what you probably want to do, you probably want to deny the catch and push him back up top, right? Because the pass is going to have to go all the way out up here instead of him breaking out to the corner. The corner three-pointer is actually the shortest three-pointer in basketball. If you see there's a straight line here and there's a curved line here, all these distances right here on the curved line are equal from the rim, but the ones in the corner, because mathematically, if this was curved, it would go all the way to the corner. These are the shortest ones in the game, right? So just use common sense. Basketball is really about common sense and numbers, and that's what basketball IQ is. The way you become more intelligent in terms of the way you deal with situations in the court, the higher your basketball IQ goes, because you just start thinking the game and you make it very simple for yourself. Something my dad, Alonzo Mourning, would tell me all the time when I was playing basketball in high school. He said, son, think the game. I want you to think the game. And I started thinking about it. I was like, okay, I don't need a lot of moves. I just need a move that's effective, a move that is effective. And when you do that again and again and again and again, you're going to shock yourself. Right? You'll be like, oh, damn, this is really, really easy. This is really, really simple. It's not necessarily easy, but it's very, very simple. Great footwork by Jaylen Brown, knocks down a shot. Ray Allen used to do this drill. I know that shot that Ray Allen hit, shout out Ray Allen. Ray Allen hit that shot in the corner of game 6, I want to say the 2013 finals. I was actually at that game. I was sitting right in front of Didier Drogba, and I was with my cousin. But Ray Allen used to do this drill at Miami Heat practices where he would do a push-up and then backpedal to the corner and catch and shoot. So that same shot he did, how he got his feet behind the line, he would actually practice doing that again and again and again. And he would do a push-up to get his arms tired. He'd do like 5 push-ups. I don't know if he did 5, but I know he'd do some push-ups, get his arms tired, backpedal to the corner and knock down that shot. Because you got to simulate the pushes, right? Pushing off people and bumping into people and running around screens. I remember one of the first times I sat courtside in high school. I've sat in courtside before that, but like as an older basketball player, a high school basketball player, one of the best in the country, I was sitting courtside at game 7, I want to say, or game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. This is where when Paul George was on Indiana. And I kid you not, it was amazing to watch. Like, I didn't know how physical the game was. I didn't know how physical Ray Allen had to be running off of these screens and people holding them. It's really amazing. Him and Steph Curry, they're very, very strong, and it's amazing what they do in terms of navigating these screens. All right, again, remember what we talked about, the switch. Talen Horton-Tucker, who's a very good player. He's a very good offensive player. He's not the best defensive player in the world. He is being guarded by, he's guarding Peyton Pritchard. So they send Pritchard up to set the screen, try to get this mismatch, because this is the guy who's meant to be guarding Jaylen Brown. The thing is, you need to have you can't be square, right? You need to be talking defensively, and you need to tell the person who you're coming up to, like Talen Horton-Tucker needs to tell this guy where the screen is coming from, screen left. And if it's screen left, you have to push him into the screen. If this screen gets rejected, which it does, there is no help side and nobody's loaded up to be able to take care of this. So you look at 2 guys right here and look at Jaylen Brown driving this way. We don't want that. So what you need to do, you need to talk. This is why talking and communication is so important in basketball. You need to talk, communicate. You tell, hey, left, 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 right? And if you say left, this guy needs to have his right foot up, and he needs to be shifted over just a little bit. If I would do this, I'd probably drop my left foot back, keep my right foot up a little bit more, and I'd maybe shift my body over a little bit to make sure that that Jaylen Brown can't reject the screen, because if he rejects the screen, we're screwed. Also, this is a very, very crucial and important time in the game. And even pros at the highest level, they don't communicate these things, and screens get rejected, right? This is stuff that coaches yell and get pissed off in the film sessions about because the team did not do this correctly. So what needs to happen, he needs to push him over the screen going this way. And then also there's appropriate footwork for it. So if you're pushing somebody over a screen, you want to step with your outside foot high first and then push off. If, for instance, I'm getting screened this way, right? I'm not going to step with my left foot first, because if I step with my left foot first and he crosses back this way, I'm screwed over because my momentum's taking me this way. What I want to do instead, I want to step right foot first, right, to get in that position. Now Jaylen Brown's going to be in front of me right here, right in front of me right here. Then I push off with my right foot and step with my left and get around. So it's this, right, in order to get around the screen. Screen's here, this, not this first, because if I step here first, I can get hit by the screen or he can cross back over him. That's the easy way to get around screens to really improve your footwork there. So he rejects. Another thing Peyton Pritchard does, he flips the screen. This is the signal for flip the screen. Jaylen Brown doesn't do it, but it's just a read. And I'm sure they maybe talked about this as a team for stuff they're trying to get to. He flipped the screen last minute. He punches on him. You know, he's a freak athlete. Yeah, punches on him. And number 7, look, remember what I said before about jumping into the person who's trying to dunk on you and the dunker jumping into the shot blocker? You need to jump into the person. Look, number 7 just jump straight up. That's not going to work, big fella. You need to jump into him because his momentum's taking you this way. It's physics. It's math at the end of the day. Jaylen Brown is taking himself this way, and this guy's going straight up. It's not going to work. Not going to work, right? It's not going to work. You're going to end up looking like that. Boom. And he talked to him too. Oh, this is the finals. Dope. By the way, one of the worst trades in NBA history was when the Milwaukee Bucks gave the Boston Celtics the NBA championship by getting rid of Jrue Holiday. It was the worst trade in NBA history. One of. All right, so same thing, right? Hauser isn't necessarily the best NBA scorer in the world. He's very good at shooting. So oftentimes you're going to put your worst defender on a shooter on the opposite side, right? Somebody who's pretty one-dimensional in terms of their game. Hauser, I'm not disrespecting Hauser. I'm just saying, granted, in pickup basketball, he could probably put the ball on the ground and maybe do some other stuff. I don't know. I don't really know his game like that. I think he went to Marquette, so we might have played each other in college. But Luka is guarding him because Hauser is not going to catch the ball and come downhill and make a play. That's not what's going to happen at all. What is going to happen is Hauser, again, and we're seeing a trend with all these videos, Hauser's going to come up and set a screen, or Derrick Jones Jr., shout out Derrick Jones Jr. And now Luka is not used to guarding people out here. Luka's really a liability on defense. He don't play no defense whatsoever. Gets right through him and punches on him at the rim. Yeah, Luka does not play great defense here. He kind of sits back. Remember how in the first clip, Tyrese Maxey, if we look at it, this is 2 minutes and 55 seconds. All right, cool. Look in the first clip, Tyrese Maxey on this switch. This is pretty much a very similar action. Actually, it is. It's Hauser at the top of the key setting this exact screen, right? Hauser sets the screen. Look how high Maxey shoots up, right? This is how you're meant to switch on a guy like Jaylen Brown, right? But the thing is, you got to keep him going left. This is why I talked about the different principles before. I would keep him left and I would make him shoot contested twos. Look at all the help that is over here. If I'm Paul George, potentially I'm like pushing my way. This is why communication is really helpful. Communicating in the back line, like Paul George communicating right here, would give Tyrese Maxey so much confidence by pushing my way, and would perhaps even prevent this dunk, right? And this is a playoff game. So like talking is so important. Players even at the highest level don't do this. All right, let's go back to 2 minutes and 55 seconds. So look how aggressive Tyrese Maxey was versus Luka Doncic right here. Look how flat Luka is, right? I know the screen is a bit higher, but look how flat Luka is. He's not ready to guard. All it takes is Jaylen Brown stepping outside his body. Luka has to shift, and then he crosses back over, and boom, now we're on Daniel Gafford's head. And Kyrie's not going to come over and get this block. I appreciate the effort from Kai, but like, it's Vertical advantage. Jaylen Brown has a vertical advantage on Kyrie Irving. Almost gets it. Almost does. All right, let's look at this. Smart gets into a lot of these actions. He ran a lot of these with LeBron James last season on the Lakers. Right? So you get that switch. I think that's Trey Burke. Damn, he punched on him. Jeez Louise. You get the switch here with Trey Burke, right? Trey Burke is not up and forcing him into the next screen. This is essentially a rejected screen. So this is called a 77 action. A double screen is a 77. 77s you traditionally see at the top of the key, but I guess technically this is a 77 as well. But the thing is, if the second defender, what they're supposed to do on the first one, they're supposed to switch, right? But the second switch is meant to be high, like the Tyrese Maxey switch, and the switch is meant to push the guy over, push the Jaylen Brown over into the next screen. He doesn't do that. And essentially splits the screen here. He rejects it. And he punches on Kleber. Wow. That was nasty. By the way, if you're enjoying this as a parent or player, I have a free resource for you at the bottom of this video in the description. It's the free post-game car ride framework. I know sometimes after a game, it can be really tough to have that conversation in the car. It's just kind of awkward and potentially even depressing. I give you a free framework and instructions about how to handle that conversation. Just go ahead and click the link below, fill out the information, and I'll send it over to you. I also have a weekly newsletter that I send to both players and parents to be able to understand some of the concepts that we're talking about with the 50 plus families in our community and the things that we're working the elite youth basketball families through that we have the pleasure to work with. Yeah, from this angle, it's even nastier. That's crazy. He punched on him. He dapped KG up. I remember that game. That was tough. All right, so let's look at this play. This is a really cool action. I like this. You see Jaylen Brown coming up to set a chest screen, and Jason Tatum's doing pretty much the same thing. But what's going to happen is the guys they're screening are going to loop back around and screen their own men. Right? So let's look at this. Bingo. Jaylen Brown gets open. It's a very tough one in the corner, and we got a tied basketball game. Footwork, execution. This is why you need to listen to what your coaches are saying and run the plays that they're telling you to run and be able to like execute. Execution is so freaking important. Not a lot of people understand that. They get a steal. Jaylen Brown gets the ball, hits a tough shot at the top of the key, big one, ties the game, and we're going to overtime. Look how calm he is. He's just ready, holding the spacing, ready, not trying to overwork, just making stuff happen. All right, let's look at this play. This is another situation right here. That is, he played at Miami too. I forget his name. Shout out Shane Larkin. This is a step-up screen, essentially. This guy's clearing out the way, and Jaylen Brown's setting a step-up screen on Ricky Rubio. Bad defense by Ricky Rubio. He just throws this ball out. Gobert, I think that's Gobert. He's a good defender, but it was just a bad. Like in a situation like this, you got to think about it. The arena is extremely loud. Players aren't talking. They're not communicating. That's why it's so important to stay locked in and communicate about these things, to be quite honest with you. Not everybody does this extremely well. But he throws the ball out. Jaylen Brown relocates. Bucket. Now, a lot of these players, they, in a situation like this is why it's so important to be strong mentally. A lot of these players are waiting on somebody else to do the thing that they're just watching. Like the same way you all as fans are watching at the end of the game. Look at the Jazz players. Look at how they just watch. Two people here that we're not going to communicate. We'll run here. Oh, I don't know what to do. We're not going to talk. You might as well close out, right? I know you're like, okay, like we'll just, if he misses, he misses. Actually, it's a statistical thing. If you put a hand up on a jump shot, the percentages go down. I don't care who it is. The percentages are going to go down. Whether it's like 2, 3%, whatever it is, it's more than 2 or 3%. But the percentages are going to go down. It's like 2K. It's like if you close out on somebody, just hold your hand up, not jump, but just hold your hand up. The percentages are going to go down in terms of them making the jumper on you, right? So food for thought. Close out regardless. Put a hand up. Bucket. Okay, time and score. Last second shot. Look at the spacing in this, right? Remember we talked about spacing. Look how everybody's super wide space. This is just a pitch back action. They're trying to get Jaylen Brown going downhill on, I forgot his name right here, but trying to get him going down a hill and just look, in terms of body type, he's not necessarily the best defender in the world. Jaylen Brown blows by him. He's about to punch on somebody too. Watch this. Hey, oh my goodness. Yeah, it's like we talked about before, some of the same principles. Even the best players in the world, quote unquote, the best players in the world in NBA do this and they make mistakes, right? And Jaylen Brown has a physical advantage against him. He does this move. He's done a lot of moves where he's breaking down the defense and like rejecting. He takes advantage of people who are not good defenders. So if you keep pushing him in the direction away from the rim, I know it sounds super simple. It's hard to do, but it's really not at the end of the day. You just got to be disciplined. Like it's some basketball players, like I don't know, DeJounte Murray personally, but I'm not saying this about him necessarily. I'm just saying in general, some basketball players are very dumb and they don't have high basketball IQs. This is why it's important for you to all to have high basketball IQs. Behind the back, at the nail, bucket. Nothing really to break down there. It's just an ISO on Luka. And again, remember we talked about like mismatches, who you want to guard. Luka's not used to being out there. If you, hypothetically speaking, if you just attack this person who is not used to guarding you every single time and get switches and get them to, you got to see what they're playing defensively. Like they switch this defensively. But I guarantee not every perimeter defender you're going to play against is a good perimeter defender. So you can find a switch, and 9 times out of 10, their coaches are telling them to switch, right? If they're out on the perimeter, right? You're going to get a good action, and it's gonna work out for you. This is another reject, right? If you see the ball screen, Kristaps Porzingis is right here. We want him to go into the screen. As a ball screen on-ball defender, you need to push the player you're guarding into the screen every single time. Otherwise, stuff like this is going to happen. Jaylen Brown goes this way. Kristaps Porzingis is now on the backside. Malik Monk needs to pull in and tag him high, stand him up. What I mean by that is Kristaps is going to roll. Probably going to pick and pop potentially, just depending on what happens across the board. But let's say he rolls, right, and he can get up on the rim. Malik Monk is going to tag him before he gets to the paint, which is probably about right here. She's going to tag him, hit him, stand him up so he can't just get a direct line running straight to the basket. And then after that, he's going to close back out to Derek White if Derek White gets the ball. Because if the ball goes this way on the help side, you have to move with the ball. You're never going to go past this line right here. You're going to split it. You are going to go past it. You're going to split this line. You're going to straddle. Imagine there was like a middle line going all the way down the court. You're going to straddle that line as a defender if you're coming over here. That's what help side defense is, right? It's like shell drill. I'm sure some of you have done shell drill before. But anyways, long story short, you need to push him into, if you're an on-ball defender, you need to push him in this way. And it's just not on this big. Like granted, he can have recovery speed and try to get back in front and meet him at the rim. But it's really on the on-ball defender, and it's really about discipline. It's about mindset. It's about discipline. It's about being able to tap into that thing mentally and say, okay, regardless of what happens, I'm going to lock in and do the same play again and again and be disciplined. That's how you win games. This is why the Kings are getting blown out by, was it 34 points that they're down, 36 points that they're down right now? There's a reason that is happening. It's because they're not a disciplined team. I don't know who their coach was at the time, Mike Brown or whoever, but discipline is huge. There's a reason, and I want you all to think about this. Like, please, this is something that like kind of drives me crazy that not a lot of people understand this. The majority of teams in the NBA, the reason they suck is because of poor management, right? You see a team who's in a lottery every single year, it's because of poor management. It is, right? It starts from the head down. Teams are businesses and they're made up of people. Coaching staffs are made up of people, right? If a GM, even if you have a good coach, if a GM or the president is allowing a knucklehead to be drafted and they don't have good character and good quality guys in the locker room, that is just going to trickle over into the play on the court and nobody holds anybody accountable. This is why the Kings organization has not won anything for a very long time. Granted, I don't know the Kings head front office staff personally, and I have respect for the people. I did actually a workout with the Kings pre-draft, and it was actually really, really great facilities. And at the same time, I'm going to be honest about what I see in terms of basketball. Most teams, like there's a reason why the Knicks have sucked as long as they have. Obviously, they won the NBA championship this past year, but a lot of it has to do with poor management from top to bottom. And some people just don't understand that. It's not necessarily on the players. It's on the system. It's on the culture. It's on the business behind it. You look at the Timberwolves. There's a reason why the Timberwolves haven't got over this hump for a very long time. It's management. I don't know what they're going to do in a locker room with Melo and Ant. I don't think that's going to go well, but just in terms of like accountability and things of that nature. But who knows? I may be wrong. I don't think I am, though. I love doing this, to be quite honest with you. I love breakdowns. All right, so let's look at the mismatch on this one. First and foremost, I just want you all to start acknowledging the mismatches. Let's start thinking about the three. You got horizontal, you got vertical, and you got physical, right? The mismatch that Jaylen Brown has on Karl-Anthony Towns is also, you could say shooting is an advantage too. I like to throw 4 in there, like shooting is an advantage. Jaylen Brown is a better shooter than Karl-Anthony Towns, although Karl-Anthony Towns is arguably the best shooting big man in the league right now, okay? That being said, Jaylen Brown's primary advantage against him is a horizontal advantage, which means he's quicker than him, right? So let's look what he does. Shot fake, goes by him, quick, gets up on the rim. Ooh, punches on Gobert too. I don't care how tall Gobert is. He goes into his body. It's physics at the end of the day. If you go into somebody's body and they're not ready to contest in a situation like this, right? Gobert jumps up. He doesn't jump out. You need to jump out, not just up. You need to do it vertically. Otherwise, something like that's going to happen to you. You don't want that to happen. Not that it's the end of the world if you get dunked on, but you know what I mean. Non-disciplined play. Chris Dunn went for the steal. I think that's Chris Dunn. No, that's Terry Rozier. He went for the steal. You don't, and look at the score as well. We're talking about disciplined teams. The Hornets are another team that have not been good for a very long time. Some teams will show glimpses because talent will just take over up until a certain point, but you don't really get past management. A very good team, a very talented team, 99% of the time, they're not going to get out of management. Is going to F it up for the team. It just happens all the time. All right, so if we look at this, Terry Rozier, undisciplined, he reaches, right? Goes for this steal. Jaylen Brown punches it. And we look at the score as well. This is why this is a damn near 30-point game, because of undisciplined stuff like this. You're not going to get back in the game by running to try to get a steal. You're going to get back in the game by being disciplined, believe it or not. You can't build Rome in a day. You got to take this possession by possession by possession by possession. Think about this. Let's look at space, right? Again, we see another reject. There's just a lot of defensive principles. And Book is pissed on the backside right here because he knows this is his help. And he's like, what are y'all doing? He contests. He's not going to get that, right? They don't force him into the screen. Let's look at this again, right? He's high side. There's no communication. KD is looking back right here. Book is saying something, and KD's looking back. This is, I think, Nick Richards. Nick Richards needs to tell him to push him into the screen. And this guy is prepped to push him back this way. Jaylen Brown just uses the space. I did a breakdown on AJ DeBonsa the other day. It was a very similar action, but it was going middle. Jaylen Brown just spins baseline. It's kind of like we talked about before. Remember, we talked about ball in the air, feet in the air as well. As soon as you catch the ball in the air, feet in the air, right, on 2 feet, you spin off and you push off that outside foot. You could do it from a stationary position while you're dribbling already too. So look, he drops the ball like it's ball in the air, feet in the air. Look at the drop. He just drops it and picks it up with his left hand and spins. See that? That's what we want to go for. Dunk. Boom, on his head. PG comes over the steal. Jaylen Brown chase down block. So a lot of times, and I really think this is cool, I didn't necessarily do this when I was playing, but if you are a very athletic guard in transition or a very athletic player in transition, you can tell the guard who is trying to make a play in front of you just to slow the person down, right? That's all you want him to do. Just slow the person down and I'll pin it, okay? If PG picks up the ball, which he does, and Pritchard runs through, he's forcing him to do a certain type of gather that allows Jaylen Brown to be able to time this. The other famous play when this happened, and I'll break that down now, the other time when this happened was LeBron's block against Andre Iguodala. Now, something that LeBron had said in an interview, he told J.R. Smith just to slow him down. And he's in a situation like that, just slow him down. Just make him make an adjustment, which he does. He goes, makes him make an adjustment, and LeBron comes and blocks it. So in a situation like that, you don't necessarily need to, like, this stuff is premeditated in a way. Like, it's not just, okay, LeBron just got lucky. No, he told JR to slow him down, make somebody double clutch, and LeBron came in and got the block, and he did it. All right, teammates do that all the time. They talk about, hey, this is the read I want you to look at. This is what I want you to do. And they talk and adjust and make moves on the fly. That's why communication is so freaking important. All right, so let's look at this. Pick up, same type of action. Different stakes, obviously, but it's the same type of action. It is a playoff game. And now PG can't necessarily, unless he goes same side hand, inside hand, he can't necessarily get away from this. He just has to kind of get blocked, unless he's going up to try to dunk it. I still think Iguodala could have dunked that ball. It's a great block at the rim. Great help side. So remember I told you about that string, right? In the NBA, the court is so big, it's not always going to be splitting this middle line, right? You can't. Also, you can't get a defensive 3-second violation because there's such a thing called, I mean, the Heat would call it a 2-9. When I was with the Heat organization, with their organization, whether it be in Summer League or in just being around Heat guys, or in the G League, this is called a 2-9. So essentially like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because you can't spend longer than 3 seconds in here as a professional basketball player here in the United States. You're going to get a 3-second violation defensive, and you don't want that, right? So you're going to be just outside the paint right here, close enough to be able to get back to your guy. But also, once the ball comes in, look at Jason Tatum go in. Actually, Jason Tatum doesn't go in. I think Jason Tatum should have potentially tagged. Jason Tatum is a good defender, and he's not as good of a defender. Granted, he's guarding a great shooter right here. I still think he could have gone in and tagged and at least pushed Derrick Jones Jr., just gave him a little touch, right? We call it a hello. One of my coaches said a hello. Just give him a hello. Just tag him, let him know you're there. But Jaylen Brown is late, but he meets him at the rim because he's able to get there athletically, right? Which is a great play. And now Celtics rotate. He meets him again at the rim. Boom, great block. You kind of see all this unfolding. And a lot of times I even tell my players this, I don't want you to be super active, right? I want you to be active, but I don't want you to be hyperactive. Jaylen Brown doesn't move. He stays here. He waits. Now he's, okay, let me make a read, right? Don't move if you don't have to move. Great block. Another great block in transition. That was just great athleticism, great block. That was a weak layup too. You can't just extend like that. You got to go up to try to dunk it, get fouled. You got guys trailing you too, or at least pull the ball out. Like, nah. He let them, granted the pass was a bit behind him from Caruso, but still, great block. All right, so look how high this switch is. Look how high this switch is. Bradley Beal switches up super high, reaches in. Now Jaylen Brown shoots a tough one. There's really no breakdown there, to be quite honest with you. He just shoots a tough shot. But remember, we talked about switching, right? They switch here. Derrick White slips out of the switch. They switch it, but Bradley Beal gets up, pressures the ball. It's a great job. I might make a comeback. I might start playing again. Who knows? Tough shot. It's a tough one right here. You hate that. I hated the Celtics so much. It was a very tough shot. I think in a situation like this, you're pushing them to where you want them. Again, like, you don't want to foul. Because one of the worst things you could do is give people a shot. You'd rather him have to hit a tough shot on his own. If you look at the percentages of this shot, of Jaylen Brown hit this shot, very, 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 very low. So you kind of just got to roll the dice. If you're the Heat, hey, he hit a tough one. You know, there are other plays that we could have made to make sure that he doesn't hit a three. Maybe there was free throws we missed earlier. I think all times, like, there's never one play that really kills you. There's a bunch of plays that take a toll and kill you. Like, you never, get a disease just by doing one thing. It's usually a bunch of little things over time that lead to somebody having, kidney failure later in life or whatever it is, right? So it's a bunch of little things that lead to big things. And you think about this in the grand scheme of games, like, oh, we lost on a shot. It's like, yeah, we lost on a shot. We also lost on the fact that I missed those free throws in the first quarter. And we also lost. This is why all these moments are important. This is why your mindset, staying locked in and focused, is extremely important. Why it's very hard to be a professional basketball player. It's the mental side of it. Granted, look at this. Not granted. Let's look at this now. See the switch, right? He gets Walker Kessler on him. Look how he gets over into space. He gets the switch. Derek White sets the screen. Right? This is something you could do as well. If you're a Derek White and you have a big on you, you come up and screen your best ball handler and somebody who's going to have a mismatch and get a bucket. And I guarantee you're going to get more playing time because you're creating, not guarantee you, but it's a smarter basketball play to make. And chances are you could, get more playing time because you're a smarter player and have a higher IQ. Yeah, Walker Kessler's not used to guarding him. There's a video of James Harden doing a bunch of between crosses, and he's one of my favorite players. And James Harden would do that move in order to shift the defender, get you to move outside of a certain space, and he gets you to shift a little bit more, and that leaves a lane that is wide open. So let's look at this again. Derek White sets the screen. He gets the switch. Look how he takes him. He doesn't stop here. He takes him all the way over here, right? He shifts him over here. Gets the crosses. Walker Kessler kind of shifts over a little bit this way, mostly drops back, but he kind of shifts this way too. And he gives Jaylen Brown a wide open lane, right? Walker Kessler doesn't know or didn't have a scouting report saying, he probably had a scouting report before the game, but he didn't have his own scouting report that said, okay, I'm going to make Jaylen two things. I want you to pick two things. That's it. It doesn't need to be a bunch of different things. What are two things you want to make them do? Not two things you don't want them to do, because that gets into the mindset of, oh, I don't want this to happen. I don't want that to happen. No, that doesn't put you in a seat of control. You need to have the seat of control and say, okay, I want to push them left and I want them to shoot contested twos. But he goes right, which is to Jaylen Brown's strong hand. And probably Jaylen Brown's not going to get that dunk if he goes left. Right? So that's just bad defense and bad basketball IQ at the end of the day. You get the switch, and you just got to be better than that. Hey, also, if you're guarding Jaylen Brown, think about times when players are most vulnerable. Look how he brings the ball down right before he dunks it. If you're a quicker guard, you could swipe right there and get a play. Walker Kessler's hands above. If he just swipes down, he gets that steal, and it goes off on Jaylen Brown's leg potentially. But he's a big, and he's not necessarily used to playing that low. So he tries to meet him up at the rim thinking he's going to block him, but he doesn't. So you could swipe low in a situation like that and get the ball. If you can see in the film that a player genuinely brings the ball back and rocks it when they're going up to dunk it. Jaylen Brown stays wide. Also, in a situation like this, it's very important. Some people have to crash, right? Other people have to get back. There's a reason Jaylen Brown isn't crashing right now, because he needs to get back on defense. Otherwise, it's going to be a layup. It's a foot race in the NBA. They're track stars, right? So you don't want that to happen. He finds him. He stays in open space the whole entire time. Now he's at the rim, on your head. Dunk you. Dunk you very much. I wasn't a big fan of those braids. All right, now let's see this. Very high ball screen. Look who we have. We have Hauser coming up beside the screen. And again, Luka is The guy on the switch. Let's see if Luka helps high. No, he doesn't. Luka doesn't play any defense. Dunk you. Yeah, Luka didn't play any defense. It's disappointing. This is terrible. Luka just watches him. That's terrible. He's like, my bad. Come on, bro. You got to hold teammates accountable. I think like Luka, I think this is why I say organizations, right? Because like from the head of the snake, you need to have your GM in your front office saying like, Luka, we need you to play effing defense. Because if you don't play a defense, we're going to be screwed. I don't care how many points you can provide for us. You need to be able to play some sort of defense, right? Some sort of defense. Like even if you look at like D-Wade is not a bad defender. D-Wade is actually a good defender, right? I will say this about D-Wade because I actually heard it in an interview recently. During the 06 finals run, D-Wade was averaging like 35 points a game. So they still wanted D-Wade to play defense, yes, but they wanted D-Wade to score more. So Gary Payton is telling D-Wade like, yo, we'll have your back, send them my way. My dad even, a great shot blocker, especially from the weak side, it's like, yo, send them my way. I'll be in help defense, send them my way. So you could focus all your energy on scoring the basketball. But in a situation like this, you're down 13, like Luka's got to show some chutzpah. He's just got to have some balls here and play defense, man. Because it can't all be on offense that you're trying to get it back. He flips the screen last minute. That's something they do as well. That's why you have to be active on defense as well. It's like he's flipping it. Switch. Luka needs to push over. It's like, I got him. Right? And corral him to go to a certain way. They went at Luka the whole entire time. They knew what they were doing. They went at Luka the whole entire time. The Boston Celtics actually, when they played against the Golden State Warriors in the finals, they didn't do great defensively. Like there were some things they messed up on, right? And if they kept attacking certain mismatches, they would, have probably won that series. But I think in a situation like this, like you just attack Luka, the film doesn't lie. Like you're not playing defense. Look at spacing. Look how he holds the space. He stays in the corner. Now he's about to cut. He just punches it. He just waits, finds his open gaps. So this is called a slot right here, right? This area is a slot, right? Usually the ball's on this side of the court. And then also I broke this down in another video. If you could see the back of your defender's head, let's do the matchups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All 5 are down here, but not everybody's matched up. These guys don't see who they're guarding. And Jaylen Brown can sneak in and take advantage of that. So he just has to wait for Hauser to clear. And he just finds a gap. It's just basketball IQ. You know your space on the court. You make a play. You do your thing. Pretty simple. It's not rocket science. Jaylen Brown holds space. He's probably the one getting back, but long rebound. Also, this is a pretty simple thing. You might have heard this before. If it's a long shot, 9 times out of 10, the rebounds are going long. It's just physics at the end of the day. I actually heard Steven Adams break this down the other day, and it's the same thing I teach within the program. Same exact principles. Like if it's a long shot, your chances are physics, right? It took more energy to shoot the ball from this far than it did a layup. You'll never see a layup missed. A layup, like a floater, a layup missed. Nobody will ever shoot a floater from right here and the ball will end up all the way out here. It just won't in terms of physics, okay? So Derek White shoots from deep and the ball goes deep, right? Also, we can get into rebounding angles as well. If the ball is shot from the top, it's either, if it goes short, it's going to come back here. If it goes long, it's a great opportunity for a tip dunk, right? Hits here, maybe comes back to you, hits here, maybe hits a glass, and then ends up in this general area in the air, and then falls probably right about here. If it goes right or left, goes there. It can go any direction. Out of the corners, kind of the same exact thing, but obviously it can't go inside the glass. If it goes short, it's going to go here. If it's go long there. I like thinking about like a bow tie. Like there's a general rule of thumb that like there's a circle around the rim right here, and then the bow tie would go this side this way, and then this side this way. I can't draw on the screen, but if you shoot from the corner, it's either going to go short and end up here on this side of the bow tie or around the rim, right? Or if it goes long, it's going to end up further away. The further you shoot from the basket, the farther away the ball's going to go. Generally. Jaylen Brown comes in and gets it. Look who's guarding him. Trae Young, physical advantage. Trae Young's not a great defender. Let me get by you and punch on you. Attack your mismatches. I think that's the general rule of thumb. Attack your mismatches, ladies and gentlemen. Hey. Let's look at this one. Pin down action. He sets a screen on, I don't know, I think that's Dame. Sets a screen on Dame. Derek White comes over the top. There's potentially a back screen. Also, you think number 3. I don't know who number 3 is, but he's playing against Jaylen Brown. I think that's a mismatch they're trying to attack on the court. This is Chris Middleton. You got Brook Lopez. You got Damian Lillard. You got Giannis. You got, Brook Lopez. Don't know who this is. No disrespect. I just don't know who that is. Damian Lillard, Giannis. You don't want to go at Giannis. You probably don't want to go at Brook just because there's no mismatch here. Probably the play is probably for Jaylen Brown to go at number 3 and get a bucket, right? So he goes backdoor on him. That was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy. That was wild. Goes backdoor on him. It's a set play. This is why you got to stay below the man and push them into the screen. Again, this is a back cut, right? This is essentially, and this is a great play. A lot of pros, Trevor Ariza did this to me one time in pickup, and it blew my mind. It was the first time somebody had ever done it to me. If you pull somebody's arm, if you want to go behind them, pull their arm towards you. They'll fall forward towards you, and you just go behind them that way. This is kind of sort of what Jaylen Brown did, but he did it with a swim move. Pin down. See how he pulls his arm kind of with his left, and then swim moves over the top. Goes to the rim, and windmills it. It's the little things that make a big difference in basketball. Now let's look at this. He's the help side in the corner. Missed shot. They're coming down the court. He's running wide. Punches on Miles Bridges. He runs the lane extremely hard. This is when you sprint, when you don't have the ball. This is when you sprint, right? There's certain reasons when you do sprint, like Jason Tatum is sprinting with the ball, but at the same time, it's different. See how he gathers, how he does that gather? One, let me gather, then he passes the ball off. You don't need to sprint all the time when you have the ball. That was a great dunk. Attack the body too. Finish strong. Dime, left, right, boom on your head. Awesome. So in recap, we just went over Jaylen Brown's best clips with the Boston Celtics, and we gave you a look into how professionals see the game. I highlighted some tips and tricks that you could take away and apply to your own game. Now, if you're ready to take the next step and you really want to see what a breakdown of your own film looks like and want to see more of what professionals do on a day in and day out basis to get them to the highest level of the game, go ahead and book a call with me if you feel like it's right for your family. The link is down below to do that. If you just want to stick around and watch more videos, cool. Check out this next video right here where I go over what makes Darius Acuff Jr.'s bag so deep. I'll see you there.